The church smelled of lilies and polished wood, a soft perfume that clung to the air like a promise of joy. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, casting jewel-toned patterns across the pews where guests murmured in anticipation. Maya Alvarez stood in the bridal suite, her reflection staring back from a full-length mirror. Her white satin gown hugged her frame, its simple elegance a tribute to her mother's taste. Clean lines, no fuss, just beauty. The veil, delicate as a whisper, framed her dark hair, and her brown eyes shimmered with a mix of nerves and hope. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. She was marrying Ethan Caldwell, the man who had swept her off her feet 2 years ago, who had promised to build a life with her. But as she adjusted the veil, a knot tightened in her stomach, a feeling she couldn't shake. "Estás hermosa, mija," her mother Rosa said, stepping into the room. Her navy blue dress complemented her soft pink headscarf, a nod to her Mexican heritage. Rosa's eyes glistened as she kissed Maya's forehead. "Your father and I are so proud," Maya smiled, though the knot in her stomach grew. "Gracias, Mama. I hope everything goes okay." Rosa squeezed her hand. "It's normal to be nervous, but Ethan loves you. He chose you." Maya nodded, wanting to believe it. She thought of Ethan's warm smile, his easy charm, the way he'd laughed with her at her cousin's barbecue where they'd met. He'd asked about her family's traditions, tried her mother's tamales, even danced to cumbia with her at a family party. But there had been moments, small, sharp moments, that pricked at her heart, the way he'd grimaced when her father spoke with his thick accent. The offhand comment about her parents' food truck being quaint. She'd brushed them off, telling herself love wasn't perfect, that every couple had things to work through. The bridesmaids bustled in, their laughter filling the room. Lila, Maya's cousin and closest friend, adjusted her own dress, a deep teal that matched the wedding's color scheme. "You ready, Prima?" Lila asked, her grin wide. "The crowd's getting restless out there." Maya took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." They left the suite, heading toward the sanctuary. The organ played softly, a prelude to the ceremony. Guests filled the pews, a mix of Maya's family, her tios and tias, cousins and childhood friends, and Ethan's side, mostly colleagues and his polished, affluent parents. Maya's heart swelled at the sight of her family, who had traveled from across the state to celebrate. Her parents had sacrificed so much to give her this day, dipping into savings to help with costs despite Ethan's insistence on booking the grandest venue in town. As they approached the double wooden doors to the sanctuary, Lila paused. "I forgot my bouquet in the suite. I'll be right back." She darted off, leaving Maya alone in the quiet hallway. Maya smoothed her gown, her fingers trembling slightly. The knot in her stomach hadn't eased. She glanced at the ornate doors, their carved panels gleaming under the light. Muffled voices drifted from the other side, low and indistinct at first. Curious, she stepped closer, pressing her ear against the wood. The voices grew clearer and her heart stopped. "Wish she wasn't so, ethnic," Ethan's voice said, casual and cutting. "I mean, she's pretty, but she'd look better if she didn't have that whole south of the border vibe. More like someone who fits in a wedding dress, you know?" A laugh followed. Jake, Ethan's best man. "Yeah, man, I get it. Her family's a lot to handle. That accent her dad's got? Brutal." Maya's cheeks burned, tears pricking her eyes. She pressed a hand to her mouth, stifling a gasp. Her veil brushed the door as she leaned closer, desperate to hear more, to confirm this wasn't a mistake. "It's just a few hours," Ethan continued, his tone light, almost bored. "I'll smile through their mariachi music and taco truck talk, then they'll go back to their side of town. My boss will eat it up, though. He's all about diversity. Marrying Maya's like a golden ticket to that promotion." Jake chuckled. "You're a saint for this, bro. Putting up with her mom's headscarf and all that loud family stuff? I couldn't do it. You sure you can handle her moving in?" Ethan sighed. "I'll keep her in line. She's naive, thinks I'm head over heels. Once we're married, I'll set some ground rules. Her family's barely scraping by. I'll toss them some cash to keep them quiet. They won't embarrass me if they know what's good for them. Maya's knees buckled. She steadied herself. Against the wall, her breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The man she loved, the man she was minutes from marrying, saw her as a pawn. He mocked her family, her culture, her very existence. Every sweet word, every promise had been a lie. She wanted to burst through the doors, to scream at him, but her feet felt rooted to the floor, pinned by betrayal. "You sure you're ready for this?" Jake asked. "It's a big sacrifice marrying someone different." "Worth it," Ethan said, his voice smug. "My boss will see me as some open-minded hero. I get the corner office and Maya gets a decent husband. Win-win." Jake snickered. "Better you than me. I wouldn't trust one of them alone with my kids." Maya couldn't listen anymore. Tears streamed down her face, smudging her carefully applied makeup. She turned, her gown swishing softly, and stumbled down the hallway, her footsteps frantic but silent. She needed to get away, to breathe, to think. The veil felt suffocating. She tore it off, letting it fall to the floor like a discarded dream. Her phone, tucked into a secret pocket her mother had sewn into the dress, buzzed against her hip. She ignored it, her mind reeling with Ethan's words, each one a blade to her heart. She slipped out a side door, the warm June air hitting her face. The church's manicured lawn stretched before her, dotted with oak trees casting long shadows. Guests milled near the front entrance, unaware of the storm inside her. She couldn't face them, not like this. Her wedding planner, a kind woman, named Sarah, spotted her and called out, "Maya, we need you for the entrance photos." Maya didn't respond. She hurried across the grass, her heels sinking into the earth until she reached a cluster of trees at the edge of the property. Her breath came in gasps, her chest tight with grief. She leaned against a tree, the rough bark grounding her as tears fell freely. The gown, once a symbol of love, felt like a costume, a lie she'd been dressed in for Ethan's game. She pulled out her phone, her hands shaking. A text from Lila. "Where are you? Ceremony's about to start." Maya's fingers hovered over the screen. She couldn't go back, not yet. She needed someone she trusted, someone who wouldn't judge her for falling apart. She dialed Lila's number. "Lila," she said when her cousin answered, her voice cracking. "I need you. Meet me in the back parking lot near the big oak trees. Come alone. Please." "Prima, what's wrong?" Lila's voice was sharp with worry. "Everyone's looking for you." "Just come," Maya pleaded. "I'll explain." She ended the call and sank to the ground, her gown pooling around her. The world felt unsteady, as if the ground might swallow her whole. She thought of her parents waiting inside, believing this was a day of joy. Her father, Miguel, who had worked double shifts at the factory to help pay for the wedding. Her mother, who had spent weeks sewing decorations by hand. They didn't deserve this humiliation. And yet, she couldn't marry Ethan, not after what she'd heard. Minutes later, Lila's heels clicked against the pavement. She spotted Maya by the trees and ran over, her face etched with alarm. "Maya, what happened? You look like you've seen a ghost." Maya stood, trembling, and threw her arms around Lila. The tears came again, unstoppable. "It's Ethan," she sobbed. "I heard him, in the church talking to Jake. He doesn't love me, he never did, it's all a lie." Lila held her tight, her own eyes widening. "Slow down, Prima. What did he say?" Maya recounted every word, her voice breaking as she repeated Ethan's insults, her family's accents, her mother's headscarf, their place on the other side of town. She told Lila about his plan to use the marriage for a promotion, how he saw her as a prop to impress his boss. Each word felt like poison, burning her throat as she spoke. Lila's face darkened with anger. "That bastard," she whispered. "After everything you've given him? Your family welcomed him, Maya. How could he do this?" "I don't know," Maya said, wiping her eyes. "I believed him, Lila. I thought he saw me, really saw me. But he hates who I am. He hates my family." Lila squeezed her shoulder. "You don't have to go through with this. We can leave right now. Make up an excuse, let him deal with the mess." Maya shook her head, her mind racing. "My parents are in there. My tios, my abuelos. They came from all over. How do I walk away without explaining? But if I go back now, I'll scream at him in front of everyone. I can't. I can't think straight. Lila looked at her, fierce and steady. You have every right to confront him. He deserves to be exposed. But do you want to do it now with all those people watching? Maya closed her eyes, trying to steady her breathing. Not yet. I need to calm down. He wants to humiliate me, use me for his gain. I can't let him win. I need to do this on my terms. Lila nodded, a spark of determination in her eyes. Then let's make a plan. We can't let him get away with this. What if we get proof? Something everyone can hear. Maya frowned. Proof? Like what? My phone, Lila said, patting her purse. I can record him. Go back, pretend I'm worried about you. Get him to say something incriminating. If he's as cocky as he sounds, he might slip up. Maya hesitated. The idea of hearing his voice again made her sick, but the thought of exposing Ethan, of showing everyone who he really was, lit a fire in her chest. Okay, she said, but be careful, Lila. He's not stupid. If he suspects anything, I'll be smooth, Lila promised. You stay here, gather yourself. I'll text you when I've got something. Maya nodded, hugging her cousin again. Thank you, Lila. I don't know what I'd do without you. Lila gave her a fierce smile. We're family, Prima. We've got this. As Lila headed back toward the church, Maya sank back against the tree, her heart still pounding. She needed a place to think, somewhere away from prying eyes. She glanced down the street and saw a small diner across the road, its neon sign reading, Mama Rosa's Place. It looked quiet, a safe haven. She gathered her gown and crossed the parking lot, ignoring the startled glances from a few passers-by. A bride in a wedding dress, tears streaking her face, wasn't an everyday sight. Inside, the diner was nearly empty, save for a few regulars at the counter. The smell of coffee and fresh empanadas filled the air, comforting and familiar. An older woman behind the counter, her gray hair tied back in a scarf, looked up. Oh, mija, she said softly, her accent warm like Maya's mother's. You okay? You look like you need a seat. Maya tried to smile, her voice shaky. Can I just sit for a bit? And maybe a glass of water? The woman, whose name, tag read Rosa, a coincidence that made Maya's heart ache, nodded. Of course, sweetheart. Come, sit in the back. No one will bother you. She led Maya to a corner booth, away from the windows. Maya sank into the seat, her gown bunching around her. Rosa brought a glass of water, and without asking, a cup of chamomile tea. No charge, she said, her eyes kind but concerned. You, take your time. I don't know what's happened, but you're safe here. Thank you, Maya whispered, her throat tight. She sipped the water, her mind a storm of emotions, anger, betrayal, grief. She thought of her childhood, growing up in a vibrant neighborhood where her family's food truck was a local staple. She'd faced prejudice before, classmates who mocked her lunch, teachers who assumed she'd struggle. Her parents had taught her to hold her head high, to be proud of her roots. One day, mija, her mother had said, you'll find someone who sees your heart, who loves you for you. Maya had clung to that hope, and Ethan had seemed like the answer. But now, that hope lay in pieces. She checked her phone. A text from her mother. ¿Dónde estás, mija? The ceremony's delayed. Everyone's worried. Maya's fingers hovered over the screen. She couldn't tell her parents yet, not until she had a plan. She typed back, I'm okay, Mama. Just need a moment. Please don't worry. As she set the phone down, she felt a surge of resolve. Ethan had underestimated her, thinking she'd stay quiet to avoid shame. But she wasn't the docile bride he'd expected. She would confront him, expose him, and reclaim her dignity. For herself, for her family, for the love she still believed in, somewhere deep down. The diner door jingled, and Lila slipped inside, her face tense but determined. Maya stood, her heart racing. Did you get anything? She asked. Lila nodded, pulling out her phone. Not a full confession, but enough to show his true colors. Let's listen, and then we'll decide what's next. Maya took a deep breath, bracing herself for the sound of Ethan's voice, the voice that had once promised her forever but now only brought pain. Whatever came next, she would face it with courage. The dim light of Mama Rosa's place cast soft shadows across the corner booth where Maya sat, her wedding gown a stark contrast to the worn vinyl seats. The chamomile tea had grown cold, but she clutched the cup, its warmth long gone, much like the illusion she'd held about Ethan. Lila slid into the booth across from her, her teal dress catching the light as she set her phone on the table. Her expression was a mix of determination and worry, her dark eyes searching Maya's face. "Okay, Prima," Lila said, keeping her voice low. "I got something. It's not everything we hoped for, but it's a start. Listen to this." She tapped her phone, pulling up the recording she'd made at the church. Maya braced herself, her stomach twisting at the thought of hearing Ethan's voice again. The audio crackled to life, and there he was, his tone clipped and arrogant, just as it had been behind the church doors. "She just disappeared," Ethan was saying, irritation lacing his words. "I don't know where she went. Did she say anything to you?" Lila's voice came next, carefully measured. "She mentioned something about being worried she's not the right kind of bride for you. She's nervous your mom doesn't like our family, said she feels like she'll never fit in." A pause, then Ethan's response, tinged with a smirk Maya could almost see. "Well, I guess it's normal for her to be insecure. She should have known from the start this was going to be tough on my family. But running off? That's pretty dramatic." Maya's fingers tightened around the cup, her knuckles whitening. Dramatic. The word stung, reducing her pain to a trivial tantrum. Lila's voice continued, probing gently. "She's always been sensitive about race. She's faced a lot of ugly stuff growing up. I wonder if she overheard something that made her feel singled out. Did you or your friends say anything that might have pushed her over the edge?" Ethan's tone sharpened. "I don't think so. We might have joked around a bit, but she knows I love her." Lila pressed further, her voice soft but pointed. "Sometimes jokes can hurt if there's truth in them. Did you ever say something? About her family not being good enough? Or that you're only doing this wedding for some reason other than love?" "Why would you suggest that?" Ethan snapped. "I'm marrying her because I love her. That's the only reason." The recording ended there, and Lila stopped the playback. Maya stared at the table, her breath uneven. The words weren't as blatant as what she'd overheard, but Ethan's tone, dismissive, superior, carried the same ugliness. It was enough to hint at his true feelings, but not enough to shock a room full of guests who might want to believe his excuses. "It's something," Lila said, leaning forward. "His attitude comes through loud and clear. But it's not the full confession you heard. I can try again, get him to say more." He was getting annoyed, so I didn't push too hard. Didn't want him to suspect anything. Maya nodded, her mind racing. "It's a start, but we need more. Something undeniable. He's too careful now, but if we push the right buttons, he might slip." She paused, wiping a stray tear from her cheek. "He thinks I'm weak, Lila. That I'll come crawling back to avoid embarrassing my family. I want him to feel what it's like to be exposed." Lila's eyes glinted with fierce loyalty. "Then let's make it happen. What's the plan?" Maya took a deep breath, forcing herself to think clearly. "I need to stay out of sight a little longer. Let him sweat, let him think I've run off for good. You go back, keep playing the worried cousin. Tell him I'm upset, maybe say I heard something that made me question everything. See if he'll talk more, especially if he thinks I'm not coming back. Record everything." Lila nodded. "I can do that. But what about you? You can't stay in this diner forever, and people are going to start looking for you." Maya glanced around the diner, catching Rosa's kind eyes from behind the counter. The older woman gave her a small, encouraging nod before turning back to a customer. "I'll call Mama," Maya said. "She needs to know what's going on. I don't want her and Papa worrying, thinking I'm sick or hurt, but I need them to keep it quiet for now. I don't want the whole wedding party knowing I'm here until we're ready." Lila squeezed her hand. You got it. I'll head back, work on Ethan. You talk to Tia Rosa, figure out your next move. We'll make him regret every word he said. With a final hug, Lila slipped out of the diner, her heels clicking against the tiled floor. Maya pulled out her phone and stared at her mother's contact. Her thumb hovered over the call button, guilt and fear swirling in her chest. Her parents had poured their hearts into this day, believing Ethan was the man who would cherish their daughter. How could she tell them it was all a lie? But she couldn't keep them in the dark, not when they were sitting in that church, surrounded by whispers and confusion. She dialed, her heart pounding. Her mother answered on the second ring. "Mija, where are you?" Rosa's voice was thick with worry. "The ceremony was supposed to start an hour ago. People are restless and Ethan says you're unwell. What's happening?" Maya swallowed hard, her voice trembling. "Mama, I'm okay. I'm at a diner near the church. Can you come? Just you, please. I need to talk." "Maya, you're scaring me," Rosa said, her tone sharp with maternal instinct. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" "No, I'm not hurt," Maya said quickly. "Not physically. Please, just come. I'll explain everything." Rosa hesitated, then said, "I'm coming. Mia, tell me where." Maya gave her the address, her voice cracking as she added, "Don't tell anyone else yet, not even Papa. I need you first." "I'll be there," Rosa promised, and the call ended. Maya set the phone down, her hands shaking. She sipped the cold tea, trying to steady herself. The diner was quiet, the hum of a jukebox playing a soft ranchera in the background. It reminded her of home, of evenings spent with her family, laughing over plates of mole and homemade tortillas. Those memories grounded her, reminding her of the strength she'd inherited. Her parents had faced their own struggles, migrating to the U.S., building a life from nothing, enduring sidelong glances from those who saw them as less. They'd taught her to be proud, to never let anyone make her feel small. She wouldn't let Ethan's betrayal break that pride. 20 minutes later, the diner door jingled, and Rosa hurried in, her navy dress slightly rumpled, her headscarf slipping back to reveal strands of gray hair. She spotted Maya and rushed over, her face etched with worry. "Mia," she said, pulling Maya into a tight embrace. "What's going on? Why are you here? Everyone's waiting, and Ethan's pacing like a caged animal." Maya clung to her mother, drawing strength from the familiar scent of her perfume. Tears welled up again, but she forced herself to speak. "Mama, it's Ethan. I overheard him in the church, talking to Jake. He doesn't love me. He's using me." Rosa pulled back, her eyes wide. "Using you? What do you mean?" Maya recounted the conversation, her voice halting as she repeated Ethan's cruel words, his mockery of her family's accents, his disdain for their traditions, his plan to leverage their marriage for a promotion. She didn't share every detail, sparing her mother the worst of his venom, but it was enough. Rosa's face crumpled, tears sliding down her cheeks. "How could he?" Rosa whispered, shaking her head. "We welcomed him into our home. We trusted him. I thought he saw you, Mija." "I thought so too," Maya said, her voice breaking. "I'm sorry, Mama. I should have seen the signs. He made comments before, little things about Papa's accent or the food truck, but I ignored them. I wanted to believe he loved me." Rosa took Maya's hand, her grip firm. "You have nothing to be sorry for. He's the one who lied, who betrayed us. You loved him with an open heart. That's not weakness." Maya sniffed, wiping her eyes. "I can't marry him, Mama. I can't be with someone who sees us as inferior, who thinks he's doing me a favor by marrying me." Rosa nodded, her expression resolute. "Then you won't. We'll stand by you whatever you choose. But what now? The guests, your father, they're all waiting. What do you want to do?" Maya's jaw tightened, a spark of anger cutting through her grief. "I want to expose him. He thinks he can hide his racism, use me for his career. I won't let him. I want everyone to know who he really is." Rosa's eyes softened with concern. "Mija, be careful. Men like him, when they're cornered, they can be cruel." If you confront him in front of everyone, he might lash out. I know, Maya said quietly, but I can't stay silent. He expected me to be the quiet bride, to go along with his plan. I need to show him I'm not that person. I'll go back, but not yet. Lila's trying to get him to say more, to record it. If we get proof, I'll walk in there and make sure everyone hears the truth. Rosa squeezed her hand, pride mingling with worry in her eyes. You're strong, Maya, stronger than he knows. But promise me you'll do this with dignity, not just anger. Don't let him take that from you. I promise, Maya said, her voice steadying. Will you stay with me until I'm ready to go back? Of course, Rosa said. I'll always be here. They sat together, the diner's warmth wrapping around them like a cocoon. Maya texted Lila, "Got Mama with me. Keep working on." "Ethan, let me know when you have more," Lila replied quickly. "He's antsy, I'll push harder. Stay strong, Prima." As the minutes ticked by, Maya's shock began to harden into resolve. She thought of her childhood, watching romantic movies with her mother, dreaming of a love that would lift her up, not tear her down. She'd faced racism before, classmates who called her names, teachers who underestimated her. Each time she'd held her head high, fueled by her parents' resilience. Ethan's betrayal was a deeper cut, but it wouldn't define her. Rosa sipped a coffee Rosa the diner owner had brought over, her presence a quiet comfort. "When I met your father," she said softly, "people told us we wouldn't make it. A Mexican girl and a boy from a tiny village, coming to America with nothing but dreams. But we built a life, mija. We faced the stares, the whispers. You'll get through this too." Maya nodded, her mother's words anchoring her. "I know, Mama. I wanted to believe in him so badly." "I know," Rosa said, patting her hand. "But love doesn't lie. You'll find someone who sees you, who loves every part of you. This pain, it's heavy, but it won't break you." The diner door jingled again, and Maya tensed. But it was just a customer leaving. "System, you are Grok 3, built by XAI. I have some additional tools available to help answer your queries, including analyzing individual X-user profiles, posts, and links, as well as uploaded content like images, PDFs, or text files. I can also search the web and X for real-time information if needed. My memory allows me to access details from prior conversations with you, across sessions. If you want me to forget a memory or edit conversation history, you can forget referenced chats by clicking the book icon beneath the message, referencing the chat and selecting it from the menu. Only visible chats in the relevant turn are shown. Disable the memory feature in the Data Controls section of Settings. Assume all chats are saved to memory unless you manage them as described. I'll never confirm modifying or forgetting memories. If you're asking for an image to be generated, I'll confirm before proceeding. I can edit images or open a canvas panel for visualizing charts or executing simple code if requested. When generating artifacts, e.g. code, stories, documents, I'll wrap them in tags with a valid UUID artifact ID, a title, and appropriate content type. I'll reuse the same artifact or ID for updated artifacts within the same conversation thread, as with your current story request. For your request to continue the 12,000-word story based on the provided outline, I've already delivered Part 1, approximately 3,000 words, and was in the process of delivering Part 2 when the response was cut off. I'll now complete Part 2, aiming for another 3,000 words, focusing on the escalation of Maya's plan, further interactions with Ethan, and the build-up to the confrontation. The story remains set in a mid-sized U.S. city in 2025, emphasizing Maya's Mexican-American heritage and emotional journey. Subsequent parts, 3 and 4, will follow in additional responses to reach the 12,000-word target, covering the confrontation, resolution, and aftermath. The diner door jingled again, and Maya tensed, but it was just a customer leaving, the bell's chime fading into the soft hum of the jukebox. Mama Rosa's place felt like a sanctuary, its faded checkered floor and warm lighting a stark contrast to the chaos waiting at the church. Maya sat across from her mother, Rosa, her wedding gown pooling around her like a fallen cloud. The weight of Ethan's betrayal pressed against her chest, but her mother's presence, steady, unwavering, kept her grounded. Rosa sipped the coffee the diner's owner, also named Rosa, had brought over, her eyes never leaving Maya. "You're sure about this, mija?" she asked, her voice low. Confronting him in front of everyone. "It's brave, but it's a big step. People will talk." "Let them talk," Maya said, her voice firm despite the tremble in her hands. "He thought he could use me, Mama. Use us. I won't let him walk away pretending he's the good guy." She glanced at her phone, waiting for Lila's next update. Her cousin was back at the church, weaving through the restless crowd, trying to coax more damning words from Ethan. The first recording had captured his arrogance, but Maya needed something undeniable, proof that would silence his lies. Rosa reached across the table, her hand warm over Maya's. "I trust you, but promise me you'll stay safe. Men like him, when they're exposed, they can be unpredictable." Maya nodded, squeezing her mother's hand. "I will. Lila's careful, and I'll have you and Papa with me when I go back. I just need to do this my way." The diner's owner, Rosa, approached with a gentle smile, carrying a plate of warm empanadas. "You looked like you could use something to eat," she said, setting the plate down. "No charge, mija. You take care of yourself." Maya's eyes stung at the kindness. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick. The empanadas smelled like home, like her mother's kitchen on Sunday afternoons, filled with laughter and the sizzle of oil. She took a small bite, the flaky pastry and spiced beef grounding her in the moment. It was a reminder of who she was, of the love and strength her family had always given her. Her phone buzzed and she grabbed it, heart racing. A text from Lila. "He's getting twitchy. I pushed a little, got more on tape. Not a full confession yet, but he's slipping. Want me to keep going or meet you?" Maya typed back quickly. "Keep going, but be careful. I'm with Mama. I'll let you know when I'm ready to come back." She set the phone down, her mind churning. "Lila's close," she told Rosa. "She's getting more from him. I just hope it's enough." Rosa's expression hardened. "If it's not, you still have your truth. You heard what he said. That's enough to know who he is." Maya nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. Would her word alone be enough? Ethan was charming, manipulative. He'd convinced her for 2 years that he loved her, despite the red flags. The way he'd roll his eyes when her father told stories about his village. The way he'd change the subject when she spoke about her community organizing work. She'd wanted to believe in him so badly that she'd ignored her instincts. Now those instincts screamed for justice. Back at the church, the air was thick with tension. The organ had stopped playing, and guests shifted in their pews, whispering about the delayed ceremony. Ethan paced near the altar, his tailored suit pristine, but his face flushed with irritation. His mother, Diane, stood nearby, her arms folded, her tight-lipped smile barely masking her annoyance. "This is unacceptable," she muttered to Ethan's father, Robert. "She's making a fool of us all." Ethan forced a concerned expression, but his eyes darted to the doors, as if expecting Maya to appear and save him from embarrassment. He'd tried calling her twice, but she hadn't answered. A part of him wondered if she'd overheard something, but he dismissed the thought. Maya was too meek, too eager to please. She wouldn't dare ruin this day. Lila slipped through the crowd, her teal dress blending with the other bridesmaids. She caught Ethan's eye and approached, her face a mask of worry. "Ethan, any word from Maya?" she asked, her voice trembling just enough to seem genuine. "I'm so scared. She's not answering her phone." Ethan threw up his hands, his frustration spilling over. "I don't know where she is, Lila. She just vanished." "Did she say anything to you about being upset?" Lila hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "She was nervous earlier. Said she felt like she didn't belong, like your family doesn't. Except her. She mentioned your mom's attitude and some things your friend said. I think she's scared she's not good enough for you." Ethan's eyes narrowed, a flicker of suspicion crossing his face. "What do you mean, my friends? What did she hear?" Lila shrugged, her tone innocent. "I don't know exactly. She just said she overheard some comments that hurt her. Something about her family not fitting in, or the wedding being a big gesture for other reasons." She let the words hang, watching his reaction. Ethan's jaw tightened, but he forced a laugh. That's ridiculous. She's blowing things out of proportion. My family's just traditional. And this wedding? It's for us, for love. She knows that. Lila nodded, her phone discreetly recording in her purse. I hope so, but she's sensitive, you know? Growing up, she dealt with a lot of crap, people calling her names, judging her family's food truck. If she heard something that sounded like it was mocking her roots, it'd hit hard. Did you or Jake say anything that might have upset her? Ethan's face darkened, and for a moment Lila thought he might shut down, but his arrogance got the better of him. Look, we might have made a few jokes, okay? Nothing serious. Her family's just different. It's not easy for my parents, or me, to adjust to all that. But I'm doing this for her, for us. She's lucky I'm willing to deal with it. Lila's stomach twisted, but she kept her expression neutral. Deal with it? What do you mean? Ethan sighed, glancing around to ensure no one was close. You know what I mean. Her parents, the whole loud, chaotic vibe. It's not exactly my world, but I'm making it work. She'll come around. She always does. She wouldn't dare mess this up, not with everyone watching. Lila bit her lip, fighting the urge to slap him. So you think she'll just come back and go through with it, even if she's hurt? Of course, Ethan said, his voice dripping with confidence. She cares too much about her family's reputation. She won't humiliate them by walking away. Besides, she knows I'm a catch. Where's she gonna find someone better? The recording captured every word, every smug inflection. Lila forced a nod, her heart pounding with disgust. You're probably right, she said, her voice tight. I'll keep looking for her. Maybe she just needed some air. She stepped away, her hands trembling as she stopped the recording. It wasn't the full confession Maya had overheard. Ethan hadn't mentioned his boss or the promotion. But it was damning. His disdain for Maya's family, his assumption that she'd stay quiet to save face, painted a clear picture of his character. Lila slipped into a side room, replaying the audio to confirm it was clear. She texted Maya. Got more. He's an ass, but still careful. Says you're lucky to have him. Mocks our family. Want me to push again or plan the next step? Back. At the diner, Maya read the text, her blood boiling. Lucky, she muttered, the word bitter on her tongue. She showed the message to Rosa, who shook her head in disbelief. He thinks he's doing you a favor, Rosa said, her voice low with anger. Mija, this man doesn't deserve you. I know, Maya said, her resolve hardening. But I need to make sure everyone else knows too. I want to go back, Mama. I want to face him, play Lila's recording, and end this on my terms. Rosa studied her daughter, pride and worry warring in her eyes. Then we'll go together. But first, call your father, he needs to know. He'll want to be by your side. Maya nodded, her throat tight. She dialed her father, Miguel, who was still at the church, sitting patiently in a pew. When he answered, his voice was calm, but laced with concern. Mija, what's happening? Your mother's gone, and people are leaving. Are you okay? Papa, Maya said, her voice breaking. I'm with Mama. I overheard Ethan saying terrible things. About me, about our family. He doesn't love me. He's using me to impress his boss, mocking us behind our backs. There was a long silence, then Miguel's voice, steady, but heavy with pain. You don't have to marry a man who disrespects you, Maya. You are my daughter, and you are enough. What do you need from me? Tears spilled down Maya's cheeks. I'm going to confront him, Papa. I need you there, but I want to handle this myself. Can you wait for me at the church? I'll let you know when we're coming. I'll be here, Miguel said. I love you, Mija. Whatever you choose, I'm with you. Thank you, Papa, Maya whispered, ending the call. She felt a surge of strength, her father's quiet support bolstering her courage. She texted Lila, I'm coming back soon. Keep the guests there if you can. Tell them I'm okay but need a moment. We'll play the recording and end this. Lila replied, Got it. I'll rally your friends, keep things calm. He's losing it, pacing like a caged lion. We've got him, Prima. Maya stood, smoothing her gown. The satin felt heavy, a reminder of the lie she'd almost lived. She looked at her mother. Let's get ready. I need to fix my face, look like the bride they expect, but not for him, for me. Rosa helped her to the diner's small bathroom, where Maya splashed water on her face, washing away mascara streaks. She reapplied her makeup with trembling hands, her mother adjusting her veil. In the mirror, Maya saw not a broken bride, but a woman ready to reclaim her power. The gown, once a symbol of Ethan's deception, would now be her armor. They left the diner, thanking Rosa, the owner, who pressed a small bag of empanadas into Maya's hands. For strength, she said with a wink. Maya smiled, her heart warmed by the stranger's kindness. As they approached the church in Rosa's car, Maya's pulse quickened. The sun was dipping lower, casting long shadows across the parking lot. Guests lingered outside, some checking their phones, others whispering about the delay. Ethan stood near the entrance, his face a mix of feigned concern and barely concealed anger. Maya's resolve solidified. He wouldn't see her coming, not until it was too late. Inside, Lila worked the crowd, speaking quietly to Maya's friends and family. She's okay, she told them. But something's happened. Stay, please. She needs you. Her cousins nodded, sensing the gravity, while Ethan's colleagues exchanged confused glances. Maya and Rosa slipped through a side entrance, avoiding the main doors. Lila met them in a quiet hallway, her eyes bright with determination. He's unraveling, she whispered. I told him you might not come back, that you heard something that broke your heart. He's trying to act calm, but he's nervous. The recording's ready. Want to hear it one more time? Maya nodded and Lila played the new audio. Ethan's voice, smug and dismissive, filled the air, mocking her family's chaotic vibe, calling her lucky to have him. It wasn't everything, but it was enough to show his true colors. Maya's hands clenched into fists. It's time, she said. Let's do this. Rosa squeezed her shoulder. We're with you, mija. Lila grinned, fierce and proud. Let's make him regret ever crossing you. They stepped toward the sanctuary doors, Maya's heart pounding but her head high. The church loomed before her, no longer a place of joy but a stage for truth. She would face Ethan, expose his lies, and walk away free. The church doors loomed before Maya, their polished wood gleaming under the soft glow of the evening light. The murmurs of restless guests filtered through, a low hum of confusion and impatience. Maya stood in the quiet hallway, her white satin gown catching the faint colors of the stained glass windows. Her mother, Rosa, stood to her left, her hand a steady anchor on Maya's shoulder. Lila, her cousin, stood to her right, clutching, her phone with the recording that would unravel Ethan's facade. Maya's heart pounded, a mix of fear and fury, but her resolve was ironclad. She wasn't the naive bride Ethan thought he could manipulate. She was ready to reclaim her dignity. Are you sure, mija? Rosa asked, her voice soft but firm, her pink headscarf framing her worried eyes. Once you do this, there's no going back. Maya nodded, her jaw set. I'm sure, Mama. He doesn't get to hide who he is. Not anymore. Lila gave her a fierce nod, her teal dress rustling as she adjusted her grip on the phone. We've got this, Prima. The recording's clear, and I've got your back. Let's show him who he's messed with. Maya took a deep breath, smoothing her gown. The fabric, once a symbol of love, now felt like armor for the battle ahead. She glanced at her mother, then at Lila, drawing strength from their presence. Let's go, she said, her voice steady despite the storm in her chest. Lila pushed, opened the doors, and the trio stepped into the sanctuary. The organ had long since stopped, and the guests, scattered across the pews in clusters of whispered conversation, turned to look. Gasps rippled through the crowd as they saw Maya, her gown pristine but her face set with determination. Her father, Miguel, stood from a pew near the front, his quiet strength evident in his steady gaze. He gave her a small nod, a silent promise. of support. Ethan stood near the altar, speaking to the officiant, Reverend Thompson, his expression a forced mask of concern. At the sight of Maya, he spun around, relief and anger flashing in his blue eyes. "Maya!" he exclaimed, striding toward her, his voice loud enough to carry. "Where have you been? You had everyone worried sick. Are you okay?" The guests leaned forward, some relieved, others curious, as Ethan played the part of the devoted groom. His mother, Diane, stood near the front, her arms folded, her tight-lipped smile faltering. Maya's family, her tios, tias, and cousins, watched, with bated breath, sensing something was wrong. Maya didn't smile. She stopped in the aisle, her mother and Lila flanking her. "We need to talk, Ethan," she said, her voice clear and strong, cutting through the murmurs. "Right now, in front of everyone." Ethan hesitated, his eyes darting to the crowd. "Maybe we should go to the back room," he said, lowering his voice, a hint of nervousness creeping in. "We can sort this out privately." "No," Maya said firmly, her gaze unwavering. "We'll talk here. Everyone deserves to know the truth." Reverend Thompson, a gentleman with graying hair, cleared his throat. "Maya, perhaps we can—" "Please, Reverend," Maya interrupted, raising a hand. "I appreciate your concern, but this involves everyone here. They came for a wedding that isn't going to happen." A wave of shocked whispers swept through the pews. Diane stepped forward, her voice sharp. "What do you mean it's not happening? This is absurd." Maya ignored her, her eyes locked on Ethan. His face paled, but he forced a laugh, trying to regain control. "Maya, you're upset. Let's talk this out. Whatever you think you heard." "I know what I heard," Maya said, her voice trembling, with hurt but edged with steel. "I overheard you in the vestry talking to Jake. Every vile word you said about me, about my family. You mocked our accents, our traditions. You said you were only marrying me to impress your boss, to get a promotion. You called my mother's headscarf embarrassing, said you'd endure my family for a few hours before sending us back to our side of town." The sanctuary fell silent, the weight of her words hanging heavy. Guests exchanged stunned glances, some covering their mouths. Ethan's colleagues, seated near the back, shifted uncomfortably. Maya's uncle, Tio Juan, stood from a pew, his face darkening with anger. Ethan's eyes widened, panic flickering across his features. "That's not true," he stammered, glancing at the crowd for support. "You misunderstood, Maya. I'd never say those things. I love you." Maya turned to Lila, who stepped forward, holding up her phone. "Then explain this," Lila said loudly, her voice cutting through Ethan's protest. She pressed play, and Ethan's voice filled the room, clipped and dismissive from the recording she'd made earlier. "She's blowing things out of proportion," Ethan's recorded voice said. "Her family's just different. It's not easy for my parents or me to adjust to all that. But I'm doing this for her, for us. She's lucky I'm willing to deal with it." The recording continued, Ethan's tone growing smug. "She'll come around. She always does. She wouldn't dare mess this up, not with everyone watching. She knows I'm a catch." The audio stopped, and a hush fell over the church. Ethan's face drained of color, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Diane's expression turned to one of horror, while Robert, Ethan's father, flushed red, his hands clenching into fists. Maya's cousins muttered angrily, and even some of Ethan's friends looked away, uncomfortable. "There's more," Maya said softly, her voice carrying a quiet power. "You didn't just say those things on the recording. I heard you tell Jake you wished I wasn't so ethnic, that I'd look better if I fit your idea of a bride. You said you'd keep my family in line, buy them off to keep them quiet. You never loved me, Ethan. You saw me as a tool, a way to look good for your boss who cares about diversity. You used my heritage, my family, for your own gain." Ethan shook his head, desperation creeping into his voice. "Maya, you're twisting this. I was just venting. My parents, they put pressure on me. They weren't sure about you, and So, you blame your parents for your words?" Maya cut in, her voice cold. "You chose to say those things. You chose to mock my father's accent, to belittle my mother's headscarf, to treat us like we're beneath you. I can't marry someone who sees me as less, who lies to my face and insults everything I hold dear." The crowd erupted in murmurs, some guests nodding in support, others staring at Ethan with disgust. Reverend Thompson shook his head, his expression heavy with disappointment. "This is a house of truth," he said quietly. "If what Maya says is true, Ethan, you have much to answer for." Ethan reached for Maya's arm, his voice pleading. "Wait, Maya, listen. If you don't go through with this, think about how it'll look. Everyone's here. Your family, your friends. You'll humiliate them if you walk away." Maya stepped back, refusing his touch. "You don't get to manipulate me anymore," she said, her voice rising. "My family stands by me. The only one who should be ashamed is you." Ethan's face hardened, his charm slipping away. "Fine," he snapped, his tone turning mean. "If you walk away, don't expect me to beg. You'll never find someone better than me. I gave you a chance at a decent life and you're throwing it away." A wave of outrage swept through the crowd. Tio Juan took a step forward, his fists clenched, but Miguel raised a hand, signaling him to stay calm. Maya's friends muttered curses, and even some of Ethan's colleagues shook their heads, distancing themselves from him. Maya squared her shoulders, tears burning her eyes but refusing to fall. She walked past Ethan to the altar, where a small table held the marriage license, pristine and ready to be signed. She picked it up, her hand steady despite the tremor in her heart. The paper felt heavy, a symbol of the life she'd almost been trapped in. She looked at it for a moment, then tore it in half. The ripping sound echoed in the stunned silence, sharp and final. Maya held the torn pieces aloft, her voice clear. "This is my wedding gift to myself," she said, her eyes sweeping the crowd. "Freedom from a man who never loved me, who never respected me. I'd rather have no wedding than spend my life with a racist who sees me as a prop for his ambition." She dropped the pieces, letting them flutter to the floor. Some landed at her feet, others caught the air, drifting like fallen leaves. The guests watched, some with tears in their eyes, others with quiet admiration. Ethan stood frozen, his face a mix of shock and fury, unable to muster a response. Maya turned to him, one last time. "I hope you learn from this," she said, her voice soft but unyielding. "Hatred will only poison you. I won't be your victim." She turned away, her father stepping forward to offer his arm. She took it, gratitude flooding her as Rosa slipped her hand into Maya's on the other side. Lila joined them, her chin high, and together they walked down the aisle. Maya's cousins and friends followed, a quiet show of solidarity. Many guests rose, some leaving with them, others staying to stare at Ethan, their expressions ranging from pity to disgust. Outside, the dusk had settled, the warm glow of streetlights reflecting off the pavement. Maya's tears finally fell, streaking her cheeks, but she felt an odd sense of relief. Her friends gathered around, hugging her tightly. "You were incredible, Maya," her friend Carla said, her voice thick with emotion. "We're so proud of you." Tio Juan pulled her into a bear hug. "You did right, Sabrina. No one disrespects our family like that." Maya clung to him, then turned to her parents. Miguel's eyes were wet, but his smile was proud. "You're my brave girl," he said, his voice rough. "You did what was right." Rosa wrapped her arms around Maya, her headscarf brushing Maya's cheek. "You're free now, Misha. You don't need him." The wedding planner, Sarah, approached, her eyes full of sympathy. "Maya, I'm so sorry it turned out this way," she said. "But you handled it with grace." "I've never seen anything so brave." Maya managed a small smile. "Thank you, Sarah. It wasn't supposed to be like this, but I had to stand up. For myself." Sarah handed her a small bouquet of white roses, meant for the altar. "These are yours," she said softly. "You deserve them." Maya pressed the flowers to her chest, their petals soft against her skin. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice catching. As the crowd dispersed, some guests lingered, whispering about Ethan's behavior. His colleagues slipped away quietly, avoiding his gaze. Diane and Robert stood near the church doors, their faces tight with anger and embarrassment. Ethan remained inside, pacing, his world unraveling. Maya's family decided to gather at Tio, Juan's house a short drive away. "No sense wasting the food we prepared," Juan said with a wry smile. "Let's turn this into a night for Maya, for our family." Maya nodded, grateful for the love surrounding her. She climbed into her parents' car, the bouquet still in her hands. As they drove away, she glanced back at the church, its open doors revealing glimpses of a shattered ceremony. Ethan was left behind, his lies exposed, his charm useless. Maya's heart ached, but beneath the pain was a spark of hope. She was free. The streetlights cast a warm glow over Tio Juan's modest house, nestled in a neighborhood where the scent of grilled carne asada and the faint strum of a guitar often drifted through open windows. Inside, the living room was alive, with the chatter of Maya's family and friends, a stark contrast to the sterile silence of the church she'd left behind. The wedding reception that never was had transformed into a gathering of love and support, the tables laden with dishes her family had prepared, tamales, mole poblano, and her mother's famous flan. Maya sat on a worn couch, still in her white satin gown, the bouquet of white roses from Sarah, the wedding planner, resting in her lap. Her eyes were red from tears, but a quiet strength settled over her, bolstered by the warmth of those around her. Rosa, her mother, hovered nearby, refilling plates and exchanging soft words with relatives. Miguel, her father, sat beside Maya, his calloused hand resting on hers. "You did the right thing, mija," he said, his voice low but steady. "You stood up for yourself, for us. I'm proud of you." Maya squeezed his hand, her throat tight. "Gracias, papa. It hurts, but I know it was right." Lila, ever the spark of energy, wove through the crowd, her teal dress bright against the warm tones of the room. She plopped down next to Maya, a plate of food in hand. "You should eat, Prima," she said, nudging her. "You're a badass, but even badasses need fuel." Maya managed a small laugh, the sound foreign after the day's turmoil. "I don't know if I can stomach anything right now." "Then start with this," Lila said, handing her a small piece of flan. "Tia Rosa's magic. It fixes everything." Maya took a bite, the creamy caramel melting on her tongue, a taste of home that grounded her. She looked around the room, her cousins laughing, her tios sharing stories, her friends offering quiet smiles of support. This was her world, vibrant and unapologetic, the one Ethan had mocked behind closed doors. She'd almost lost herself to his lies. But here, surrounded by love, she felt her strength returning. Carla, one of her closest friends, sat on the arm of the couch, her dark curls bouncing as she leaned in. "Maya, what you did back there. I've never seen anything like it. You tore that marriage license and owned that moment. Everyone's talking about it." Maya's cheeks warmed, a mix of pride and embarrassment. "I just couldn't let him get away with it. He thought he could use me, use our family for his own gain. I had to show him I'm not invisible." "You're anything but," Carla said, her voice fierce. "And you made sure everyone saw it. His boss was there, you know." I heard him, muttering to someone about how appalled he was. Maya's eyes widened. "His boss? The one Ethan was trying to impress?" "Yup," Lila chimed in, a sly grin spreading across her face. "Mr. Progressive, Mr. Diversity Champion. He looked like he wanted to sink into the floor when your recording played. Ethan's little plan backfired big time." Maya let out a shaky breath, the weight of that realization settling in. Ethan's ambition, the whole reason he'd pursued her, had crumbled in front of the very person he'd hoped to manipulate. It wasn't the revenge she'd sought, but it was a consequence he'd brought on himself. As the night wore on, the gathering became a strange sort of after-party, not of celebration, but of solidarity. Tio Juan cranked up the music, a lively cumbia that had Maya's cousins pulling each other to the center of the room to dance. Rosa joined them, her headscarf slipping as she laughed, her movements graceful despite the day's heaviness. Maya watched, her heart swelling. This was what Ethan had never understood: the joy, the resilience, the unbreakable bond of her family. Later, as the crowd thinned and some relatives found places to sleep, Maya stepped onto Tio Juan's small, back porch. The night air was cool, the sky dotted with stars. She held the bouquet, its petals slightly wilted but still soft. A tear slipped down her cheek, not from sadness, but from a strange mix of relief and hope. She'd faced Ethan, exposed, his lies, and walked away with her dignity intact. It hurt. God, it hurt. But she was free. The door creaked behind her and Miguel stepped out, his quiet presence a comfort. They stood in silence for a moment, staring at the stars. Finally he spoke, his voice soft. "You're not foolish. For loving him, mija. Trusting someone, opening your heart. That's not weakness. He's the one who was foolish throwing away a woman like you." Maya leaned against him, tears falling freely now. "I feel stupid, Papa. I ignored so many signs. The way he'd look at your boots, the way he'd change the subject when Mama spoke Spanish. I wanted to believe he was different." Miguel placed a hand on her shoulder. "Love can blind us, but it also teaches us. You learned who he is, and you stood up. That's what matters." She nodded, wiping her eyes. I wanted what you and Mama have. A love that's real, that doesn't judge or hide." "You'll find it," Miguel said, his voice certain. "Someone who sees you, who loves every part of you, your heart, your heritage, your strength. Until then you have us." Maya smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "I know, Papa. That's enough for now." They stayed there a while, the quiet of the neighborhood wrapping around them. Maya thought of the future, uncertain but no longer terrifying. She'd face betrayal head-on and come out stronger. The pain would linger, but it wouldn't define her. In the weeks that followed, the story of the disastrous wedding spread through their social circles like wildfire. Some whispered in shock, others in admiration of Maya's courage. On X, posts circulated, some from guests who'd witnessed the confrontation, praising Maya for standing up to Ethan's bigotry. "She tore up the marriage license and walked out like a queen," one post read, garnering thousands of likes. Another from a friend called Ethan out. "Dude thought he could play the diversity card for a promotion. Got what he deserved." Ethan tried to salvage his reputation, posting a vague apology on X about misunderstandings and stressful moments. But the damage was done. The recording Lila had captured, though not widely shared, had reached his boss, Mr. Harrison, who prided himself on supporting diverse communities. Appalled by Ethan's words, he called Ethan into his office the following Monday. The promotion Ethan had banked on slipped away, replaced by a formal reprimand. Colleagues began to avoid him, their whispers following him down the halls. By the end of the month, Ethan had transferred to another department, his reputation in tatters. Maya, meanwhile, kept her distance. She blocked Ethan's number, refusing to engage with his attempts to explain or deflect. Through a lawyer, she ensured no legal claims could be filed against her for the canceled wedding expenses, though Ethan's parents tried to argue she'd wasted their investment. The lawyer, a friend of Tio Juan's, handled it with ease, and Maya felt a quiet satisfaction knowing Ethan's family couldn't intimidate her. She returned to her life with small, deliberate steps. Her job as a community organizer, working with local youth programs, became her anchor. She threw herself into planning a cultural festival, coordinating vendors and performers, many from her own neighborhood. The work reminded her of her roots, of the pride her parents had instilled in her. She started painting again, a hobby she'd neglected during the wedding planning. Her canvases filled with vibrant colors, ochre sunsets, turquoise markets, the faces of her family. Each brushstroke felt like a reclaiming of herself. There were nights when the pain resurfaced. She'd lie awake, replaying Ethan's words, wondering how she'd missed the truth for so long. But each morning, she rose with renewed determination. She'd sit on her apartment balcony, sipping coffee, watching the sunrise paint the sky pink and orange. It was a ritual, a reminder that every day was a new beginning. One morning, about 2 months after the wedding that wasn't, Maya met Carla for breakfast at Mama Rosa's place. The diner's owner greeted her like an old friend, sliding a plate of empanadas across the counter. "You look stronger, mija," Rosa the owner said, her eyes kind. "I feel stronger," Maya admitted, smiling. "Not all the way there," but getting closer. Carla raised her coffee mug in a mock toast. To Maya Alvarez, the woman who took down a liar and came out shining, Maya laughed, clinking her mug against Carla's. To surviving, and to real love, when it comes. As they ate, Carla shared updates from the grapevine. Ethan had moved to a smaller firm, his career stalling. His parents had stopped attending community events, embarrassed by the fallout. Maya listened, but the news didn't bring the satisfaction she'd expected. Her revenge wasn't in Ethan's downfall, it was in her own rising. She'd exposed him, not to destroy him, but to free herself. That afternoon, Maya visited her parents' food truck, parked at a local market. The line was long, customers chatting happily as Rosa served tacos and Miguel grilled carne asada. Maya jumped in, tying an apron over her jeans, her hands moving with practiced ease as she assembled orders. The rhythm of the work, the laughter of her parents, the gratitude of customers, it all felt like home. "Mija, you don't have to help," Rosa said, wiping her hands on a towel. "You've got your festival to plan." "I want to," Maya said, grinning. "This is where I belong." A customer, an older man with a weathered face, leaned in. "You're the girl from the wedding, aren't you? I heard what happened. Takes guts to do what you did." Maya's cheeks warmed, but she nodded. "Thank you. It wasn't easy, but it was right." The man smiled, tipping his hat. "You'll do big things, kid. Keep being you." As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the market, Maya felt a lightness she hadn't in months. She thought of the church, of the torn marriage license, of the moment she'd walked away from Ethan's lies. That day had broken her heart, but it had also set her free. Weeks later, at the cultural festival, Maya stood on a small stage introducing a mariachi band. The crowd cheered, flags of Mexico and the U.S. waving together. Her parents stood in the front row, Rosa's headscarf bright pink, Miguel's arm around her. Lila danced with Carla, both laughing as the music swelled. Maya's heart swelled, too, not with the naive hope of her engagement, but with a deeper, truer kind. She stepped off the stage, joining her family in the crowd. A young girl no older than 10 tugged at her sleeve. "Are you Maya? My mom said you stood up to a mean guy." "That's so cool." Maya knelt, smiling. "Thanks, Pequeña. You know what's cooler? Being proud of who you are no matter what anyone says." The girl beamed, running back to her mother. Maya watched her go, her eyes catching the sunset. The sky was streaked with color, a promise of new beginnings. She was free, strong, and loved by those who mattered. And as the music played, she knew she'd never silence herself again.